It was a chilly Friday evening when my husband Liam burst through the door, his excitement barely contained. "I have big news, Audrey," he said, shrugging off his coat. "I've been selected to lead the London expansion project." I froze mid-sip of my tea. "London? That's incredible, Liam." But the joy in my voice didn't match the twinge of apprehension in my chest. "It's a 6-week assignment," he added, his tone softening. "I'll need to leave by next Tuesday." 6 weeks. The longest we'd ever been apart in our 8 years of marriage. I plastered on a smile, though the thought of our empty house filled me with unease. The day Liam left, the silence was deafening. I threw myself into work, evening yoga classes, and phone calls with friends to fill the void. The first week passed without incident, but by the second, the solitude began to weigh heavily. It was on one of those restless nights, as I scrolled aimlessly through social media, that a notification lit up my screen. "Oliver Harding sent you a message." Oliver. The name sent a flicker of surprise through me. He was Liam's colleague, someone I'd met only a handful of times at company events. "Hi, Audrey. Just checking in. I know Liam's away, and I figured you might need someone to talk to. Hope that's not too forward." I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. "Thanks, Oliver. That's thoughtful. I'm managing, though the house is quieter than I expected." He replied instantly. "If you ever want some company, let me know. I make a mean lasagna." I laughed at the message, the first genuine laugh I'd had in days. "I might just take you up on that," I typed back, not expecting to actually follow through. But 2 nights later, when a storm rolled in and the loneliness felt suffocating, I found myself dialing his number. Oliver arrived with a lasagna dish in one hand and a bottle of red wine in the other. "Didn't want you weathering the storm alone," he said with a lopsided grin. His presence was surprisingly easy, like slipping into a well-worn sweater. We ate, drank, and swapped stories about Liam, funny ones, embarrassing ones, the kind that only a close friend could know. By the end of the evening, I found myself laughing more than I had in weeks. "Thanks for this, Oliver," I said as he pulled on his jacket to leave. "Anytime," he replied, his gaze lingering just a moment too long. The visits became a regular occurrence. Once a week turned into twice, then 3 times. We cooked together, debated over movies, and shared the kind of conversations that felt unguarded and real. But there was something else, too. A charge in the air, an undercurrent of something unsaid. One evening, as we sat on the couch, a thunderstorm crackling outside, he turned to me. "Can I ask you something, Audrey?" "Of course," I said, my heart skipping a beat. "Do you ever feel invisible? Like you're giving so much of yourself to someone else, you forget who you are?" The question hit me like a freight train. I nodded slowly. "Sometimes. Liam's wonderful, but his world is so big, and sometimes I feel like I'm just orbiting around it." Oliver's expression softened. "You're not invisible. Not to me." The words hung in the air, heavy and charged. I felt my breath hitch, the space between us narrowing ever so slightly. That night, after he left, I sat in the silence of the house, replaying his words. A part of me felt exhilarated, seen in a way I hadn't been in years. But another part felt guilty, as though I'd already crossed a line. The next morning, a message from Liam lit up my phone. "Missing you like crazy. Wish I could fast forward these next few weeks." I stared at the screen, guilt twisting in my stomach. When Oliver came over the next time, I was determined to keep things light. But as the evening wore on, the unspoken tension became harder to ignore. "I should go," he said suddenly, his voice tight. "You don't have to," I replied, the words out before I could stop them. He froze, his eyes searching mine. "Audrey?" "I know," I whispered, my voice trembling. "This is wrong, but..." The gap between us seemed to vanish in an instant. He reached for my hand, his touch sending a shiver down my spine. "We can't do this," he said, though his hand didn't move. "I know." For a moment, we stayed like that, the storm outside mirroring the chaos inside. Then he pulled away, his face a mask of conflict. "I care about you, Audrey," he said softly, "but you have to decide what you really want." And with that, he left. Liam returned 2 weeks later, his arrival marked by laughter, stories, and an almost desperate eagerness to reconnect. But even as I wrapped my arms around him, I couldn't ignore the shadow Oliver had left behind. The choice had been made, but the echoes of those stormy nights lingered, a reminder of how close I had come to rewriting everything. Like this video, Subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification to be the first to know when we upload the continuation of this story.